Hello, it's time to talk about decimals. Decimals are very interesting, okay? There are some properties for decimals that can help you to start with. First of all, a decimal is a number. A whole number has no parts after it. So we could say 35.00. So that decimal point is there, but it's not there. Okay. So for a whole number, you don't see it, but it's actually 5 with no parts. Okay. Now, after the decimal point, you have place values. Okay. So before the decimal point, you have ones, you have tens, and you have hundreds, and so on. After the decimal point, you have tenths. This is the tenths place. This is the hundredths place. Hello, I'm doing a video. And this is the thousandths place. Okay, so that's after the decimal. So you can rewrite a number, for example, 35.1 is 35.1, also 35 and 1/10. So I could write it like this, 35 and 1/10. Or I could also write it 351 over 10. Okay, depending on what you're doing with the decimal. So I say this 35.1, 35 and 1/10, 351 over 10. Okay, now I might be adding decimals. There are different ways that we use decimals. Also, if we have a number like 35.1235, that's how we say it, 35.1235. It's not 35 and 1,235. Okay, but we could also put this into a fraction form, 35 and 1,235. That's tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10 thousandths. Okay, so that's how I could put that into a fraction. Now, we can always change a decimal to a fraction. We can change a fraction to a decimal. So say I had the number or the fraction 3/4. I can change that to a decimal by dividing the bottom number into the top number, or dividing the denominator into the numerator. Or we could say it like this: divide the numerator by the denominator. So I would divide 4 into 3. And then we have a decimal. 4 goes into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. Subtract, I get 20. So 0.75. So 3/4 is equal to 0.75. Now, in my class, there are certain fractions that we memorize the decimal for, like 1/2 is 0.5. 2/5 is equal to 0.4. But if you don't have those memorized, you can also divide the bottom number into the top number and you get your decimal. Use this in lots of different ways, money, percentages, and different things like that. But that's the beginning basics of decimals. You can change a decimal to a fraction, and you can also change a fraction to a decimal. Now, there will be times where you have a fraction, for example, 1/3, and you divide 3 into 1, and your decimal is 0.33333. So it's 0.3 repeating. So we might have to round that off depending on what situation we're using that for. So there are times that our fraction does not end. You divide the bottom into the top and it just keeps going. So you just show that answer, or you might be told to round it off to the nearest 100th place or the nearest 10th place, something like that. Okay, so that's the end of this video, all about changing decimal to a fraction or fraction to a decimal. I'm going to add one more thing. If I have the number 0.50, I can change that number to 50 over 100, which is equal to 1/2. So you'll notice that I reduced the fraction. So if you change your decimal to something over 100, 1,000, or whatever, you want to reduce that fraction to simplest form, And usually that's how we leave our answers when we are in the math class, unless it says do not reduce. Okay, so when you get a fraction, you want to like express it in lowest form, which means make sure that you divide the top and bottom by all of the common factors. Okay, so that's it. That's it for this video. And so I hope that that helped you get started on decimals and fractions. Let me know if you have any questions below. I'll be making another video on how to add, and there's some special properties to adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing decimals, and that will be in the next video. See you next time.